Asanteni sana. Mheshimiwa Spika wetu wa Senate Kenneth Lusaka, viongozi wote wenzangu hapa, waheshimiwa masenate, governors pamoja na members of county assembly, hamjambo. Assalamu alaikum. I will make my remarks very brief because many of the issues that have been raised already, a lot of conversation has gone into it, and many of the speakers before me have already spoken to the issues that have been raised. When the Speaker of the Senate asked me to come and speak on this occasion, on this summit, much as he has said, I was quick to say yes. The truth is, actually, I hesitated because I asked him, what about the background? And the Ward Development Fund. And when I came here and the first speaker, Maimuna Salim, the member of County Assembly of Shanzu, spoke, she did not disappoint. And spoke to the heart of the issues that I knew were central to the issues that affect members of County Assembly. But I reserve my comments to later on those two matters. Let me say, number one, this summit is the largest assembly of legislators elected by the people of Kenya. While we have 349 legislators who support us as the national government, we have close to 2,300 legislators that manage devolution. And that confirms the centrality of devolution in our constitution, in the development of our country. I say so because it therefore confirms that this is a very important summit, bringing together legislators from all our 47 counties that, on behalf of the people of Kenya. I also take note that legislators are a very central and integral part of our constitution, because it is legislators who translate the letter and the spirit of the constitution to laws and policies and programs that then roll out our development program. We must therefore consistently build capacity in our legislators so that they can achieve and they can help us achieve that so important function of implementing our constitution in a manner that reflects the wishes and the will of the people, especially on the type of the laws that are made, on policies that are rolled out and implemented, from CIDPs and all that are in between. And it is our belief that as we legislate, as you carry out your cardinal principle of legislation, the people's interest will be front and center, and their interests. For those of us who were privileged to be part of the people who went to Bomas and fashioned our new constitution, let me say there are three principles that underpin devolution: resources, power, and accountability. When we fashioned devolution, at the heart of that discussion was how to share resources equitably and eliminate the cancer of marginalization and ensure every part of Kenya is as catered for and belongs as any other part of Kenya. Today, we have 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings that has been devolved, with 54 billion being conditional grants, speaking to the matter of resources, distribution of resources. The second principle is exercise of power. And today, legislators in every county, because of the power that they have, our development paradigm and our development programs are anchored on locally developed priorities. It is people at the local level, as opposed to what happened in the past. People in wards are the people who now develop CIDs. They are the ones who speak to what priorities are rolled out in counties. And that was at the heart of devolution. And the third issue is accountability, which is a very integral part of any meaningful development in any country, in any county, any place. It was envisaged that members of county assembly would hold government at the lower level to account. And in fact, it was envisaged that we would have direct public audit on government programs, government expenditure, government budgets, and government plans. And when I say government, I mean government both at the national and at the county level. And I want to warn you that that is huge authority and power on your shoulders. But I want you to know that the more authority you have, the more responsibility comes with that authority. And the more responsibility that you have, the greater the accountability expected of you. Therefore, as you discharge your responsibility, you must have it at the back of your mind. You have the power to decide on those resources. All of us, beginning with those of us who have the power to use those resources, must be accountable. I am, however, happy that over the last 5 years, we have seen a lot of progress. We have seen a lot of capacity built in our legislature, especially the new in the counties. The partnership between Senate and the county assemblies has seen progressively the mismatch that originally existed between existing laws and the spirit and letter of the Constitution has progressively been narrowed. And I want to encourage you to continuously build that capacity so that we can better translate the spirit and letter of the Constitution to laws and policies that have the people and their interests at the front and center. The second item that makes me happy is in 2013, 2014, we had huge challenges of how much money was being allocated for development vis-a-vis current expenditure. And while the Public Finance Management Act provides that a minimum of 30% must go to development, in 2013-2014 financial year, an average of 36% of all this devolved went to development. And we had a big argument with many governors, pioneer governors, and many legislators. But I'm happy that progressively, the year 2016-17 has seen resources allocated to development move from 36% to 65%. Meaning that more and more counties working between the county assemblies and the county executives today are allocating more money for development programs rather than to recurrent expenditure. I want to say congratulations. We are making progress. In fact, a report of the Comptroller and Auditor General shows that a county like Taita Taveta has actually moved 69% of all the resources are now allocated to matters development. Mandera is at 51%, meaning that more and more counties are becoming sensitive to allocations of resources going to matters that are dear to our electorate, matters development, water, roads, bursaries, and those items. But there are challenges. From where I sit as a chief, let me tell you about 4 challenges that I see. Number 1 is the cost of both inter and intra-governmental litigation that is actually at crisis levels. The Intergovernmental Committee, Intergovernmental Relations Committee, in its report tells us that 13 counties have spent 550 million in the last to pay lawyers. 13 counties in one financial year. In fact, there is a case where one county has paid 100 million shillings to one lawyer. And it is a challenge that we must deal with as leaders, as county assemblies, as county executives, as the Senate, because the Constitution, Section 189 of the Constitution, actually speaks to national legislation providing for alternative dispute resolution mechanism that involves negotiation, arbitration, that therefore removes intergovernment disputes from the realm of lawyers and litigation, consumes resources that would otherwise be used for the development of our wards and counties. Mr. Speaker, and the members of the Senate who are here, the majority leader here, the minority leader here, and I am happy that we have enough members of the Senate present here. In fact, they can form a quorum, and you can actually dispense of this issue and provide for national legislation that will stop litigation between state agencies, intergovernment litigation that consumes a lot of resources unnecessarily. Yet the Constitution provides that national legislation shall provide for alternative dispute resolution mechanisms that involve negotiation, arbitration, and everything in between to avoid unnecessary wastage of public resources. Mr. Speaker, I am hopeful that Senate will consider amongst its priorities, there is a draft law already to that effect, and we should be able to sort that out and save counties from spending huge resources on advocates' fees. The second item that I want to bring to this August gathering is the matter of underperformance of own revenue collection. It is a big issue. As a result of underperformance of own revenue collection, we now have a huge pending bill that was brought to my council as the chair of IBEC. The Comptroller of Budget now tells us we have 99 billion Kenya shillings pending bill by county governments. And the issue or cause of this huge pending bill is contracts and LPOs that were issued on the basis of approximation of own revenue to be collected that was never collected. And therefore, it creates a huge, and now county governments are struggling to find resources to service those contracts, to service those LPOs. Therefore, again, to the Senate, the draft bill that we agreed in IBEC on this matter, I hope my Senate will dispense of this issue so that we can better assist county governments and their county assemblies to be able to figure out in a better organized manner how to deal with matters to do with own revenue collection at the counties. The third issue that I want to raise to this assembly is effective internal audit departments and committees. It is envisaged by the Constitution and in fact by the law that county assemblies specifically, you, the county assembly members, you have a duty, a constitutional duty of oversight. And you can only oversight if you have internal audit committees and mechanisms that enable you to better hold to account county executive. When I was elected for the first time as a member of parliament in 1997, I found an old legislator there, and the man, then I was 31 years. He told me the best way to support a government is to criticize it when it goes wrong. Right? So I know many county assemblies here, the county executive could be your friends. They could belong to the same party as you. But let me give you a word of advice. The best way to support your county governor or county executive is to hold them to account and criticize them when they go wrong. Are we together? Yes. That is the best way to support a government. And therefore, I want to ask county assemblies present here to sharpen our audit skills and ensure that there are committees that will hold county governments to account. And I am sure that the governors sitting here have no problem whatsoever being held to account on matters that are required, and they have been working with you on that matter. The fourth issue I would want to bring to your attention, good people, is the issue of county pension that have been spoken by many of the people here. This is a matter that has been long in coming. We have this issue many times. There are multiplicity of bills. We have one that approved in cabinet, and it is our intention that all other bills be brought together. And with the input of county governments and county assemblies, we have no problem, whatever, because as we talk today, 35 billion Kenya shillings is at risk because there is no formal mechanism of how this county pension money will be taken care of. We have a multiplicity of agencies, and we want, of all the bodies, LAP Fund, LAP Trust, and all of them, be put together under one roof. And I'm sure Senate will prosecute that matter. And on the undertaking of the leader of majority and minority here, that matter brought to a good conclusion in weeks, if not months. These are the issues, good people, I thought I should bring to your attention on this very gathering. Let me say two final things. Number one, I want to persuade you, because that is the spirit and letter of the Constitution, that county governments and county are required by the Constitution to implement national policies. You are aware, the Big Four that speaks to matters of food production and nutrition to ensure that we eliminate the shame, matters to do with manufacturing, value addition, agro-processing, that will create more jobs for the many young people that continue to disturb you in your homes, matters to do with housing, and of course, universal health coverage. It is our belief that because the Constitution mandates counties to implement national programs and policies, that every county will drill down to the ward the implementation of the big. We are asking you to work with us so that we can ensure that we transform every part of our country. The Big Four is not about Jubilee versus NASA. It is not about national government versus county governments. It is the transformation and the interest of all our electorate, those who voted this way and the other way. That is the essence of what the Constitution expects of all of us. Let me also say one final thing. Public participation has been canvassed. And I want to persuade you that public participation is not a ritual. In fact, it is the essence of democratic participation and gives ownership of the Kenyan public to what we do, matters development and progress. And in fact, evidence shows that citizens can and actually propose legislation or programs or policies that are sound and are sustainable if they are given the opportunity to participate. And therefore, county assemblies should robustly provide for public participation so that the people can enrich our thoughts, our policies, our ideas, and our programs for the benefit of the entirety of our nation. The last I want to mention, that was mentioned very passionately here by a lady who spoke about gender matters. You know, we have a bill in the House on matters to do with the 2/3 gender rule, and I want to persuade this assembly that there is value in providing for a mechanism where the energy, the talent, the expertise of all of us are harnessed for the development of our country. And therefore, I want to persuade both the National Assembly and the Senate representatives, these very good people, that it is our expectation, and we will do everything possible to ensure that there is an innovative way of ensuring that we achieve that 2/3 gender rule and ensure that we take our country to the future. I had Senator Kipchumba Murkomen here speak to the issue of car grant and ward development. And he said that if you really want a honest discussion with him, you should buy him some tea. But I thought it is the other way around. We are used to Kipchumba buying tea for people. So you should have said you will go and buy tea for those who want to know your actual position, although it is in the public domain. And also, James Orengo made a very passionate assessment of where those two issues stand. And I quite agree that there must be fairness and equity. And it is my expectation that our legislature, both National Assembly and Senate, will formulate a mechanism where legislators, both at the national and county level, are treated equally and fairly. And when they finally, let me say this. When there is finally an agreement between the legislature, that is between the National Assembly and Senate, when that agreement finally is fashioned, we will do our part as the national executive. I know James Orengo was trying to lure me into a discussion about the Constitution. But today I am not going there. But I just want to say that sometimes, unfortunately sometimes, lazy people who do not want to work hard and incompetent people who cannot formulate any meaningful development program, and some people who lose elections, they use the Constitution as the bogeyman. They try and blame it on the Constitution. But to have that discussion here today, we will have it another day. All I want to say is that even when we will discuss that subject, it cannot be a discussion about the politicians only. It has to be a discussion about the people. Those who don't have jobs, those who do not have food, those who want a road and a health center, it must be about them. It cannot continue to be about us. That is all I am saying. That once we go to that discussion, to be honest, we have to be sincere, because this country does not belong only to us, the politicians. It belongs to 45 million Kenyans. So let me say to this gathering, I'm very happy to be part of this assembly, and as I said, and I mean it, it represents the single largest assembly of legislators elected by the people of Kenya. Thank you very much, and God bless you.